Welcome to this episode of
Late Night TCG, and we're back with the sequel. So if you enjoyed the first half of this video or have not seen it yet, definitely go check that out in the description box below. It's the first link, so you definitely can't miss it. We'll try to eventually create a channel together and then just have it all in one go for you guys. But as of right now, we're having it on two separate channels, two halves of a whole. So definitely go check out the first half if you have not checked that.
All right, so if you guys are wondering who this beautiful gentleman here in the middle is, this is Nhymnim,
aka Gage, aka sealed only master, aka
the proprietor.
The proprietor.
Oh my.
The
we get
innovator.
fancy with it, dude. Oh man.
Yo,
Yeah,
imagine.
so give him the quick plug, Nim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh content, I do Yu-Gi-Oh vlogs. I'll go play at events and I'll show you guys. I'll let you guys live the experience vicariously through me. You know, sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh, I take a challenge where I go through starting from 3 structure decks, build it up over a couple episodes, and take it to a YCS, see if we can top it. You know, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nhymnim. I'm live whenever, no specific dates, but if you want to keep up on it, follow. I'm live rather frequently, I'd say, and then it's always a good stream when you catch it.
Always.
So always hit that bell and everything, and I think that's all I gotta say too. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So Pac also streams on Twitch.
Yeah, I do at twitch.tv/pack_official_TCG. So if you haven't already followed, like, subscribe, comment, followed me, see me, what's up? Do so, all right? Do so. You get to see some fun stuff. I try to break decks that sometimes don't require breaking, but, you know, there are always some broken things to be done with every Yu-Gi-Oh card ever printed. And, it's Konami's fault for printing them. I'm just, I'm just the driver.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Wow.
I don't make the
Call
car.
out.
I just drive the car, It's just, what can I do? So if you haven't already, definitely go check that out in the description box below. I kind of stream whenever I feel like on the same level as Nhymnim over here. So yeah, just kind of find me when I'm live.
Yeah, so we here at Head to Head Battles have a more tentative schedule. All right, we're like a date. Like with not having a schedule, you might get stood up one day. You know what I'm saying?
fair.
Joking.
I know that feeling, bro.
Can't get stood up if you don't have a date. You know what I'm saying?
All right. We also stream on Twitch at Head to Head Battles. We stream every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 p.m. EST. We do mainly Yu-Gi-Oh, but we do also branch out to other TCGs and FPS shooters. I'm a professional.
Oh, okay.
What FPS shooters you been playing? What have you been shooting up?
The Counter-Strike.
The Counter-Strike? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And wow. Okay. So in the first half, in the prequel, we kind of touching upon briefly on many different subjects in regards to Pokemon versus Yu-Gi-Oh versus Magic. So in today's episode, we're gonna be, as always, we're very free-spirited here, and we're gonna just kind of delve a little bit deeper into the topics as we do in previous podcasts.
Right.
And for this one, we have Gage's favorite, the bubbly. All right.
Oh,
so
Corbell, from what I understand.
I'm gonna twist this open. And also it's Gage's birthday.
It's actually Gage's birthday. Yeah.
It's his birthday.
Dude, yeah.
So this is happy birthday to you, Gage.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Honestly, dude, there's nobody I'd rather be spending with. This has been one of the best birthdays I've had in a very long time. Dude, my last birthday, I don't even remember what I did for last
Must
birthday.
have been a good one.
Must have been one hell of a
think of that,
birthday.
dude. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
Nah, this has been a blast, dude. I'm happy to be over here at the Head to Head Battles house. It's been a blast this whole weekend, dude. Just chilling, making content. Keep it on that grind. Stay
Exactly.
busy.
So what are you like a ripe 19 now?
Oh my
Just
god! Yeah, no,
barely
that's why you're
legal.
busting up with the wine. I'm 23.
we're
Getting to be
joking,
an
we're
old fart,
joking,
bro.
we're
Like,
All right, here we go. So here,
Let's go.
cover your eyeballs. Oh, you guys are wearing glasses.
yeah.
All
right,
So we got that built-in
right,
protection.
all right.
You're trying to look. You're struggling. You good? Oh my! It's gonna pop. It's not gonna even pop out at this point. Oh shit! Oh, my god!
My goodness.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right.
I definitely blinked there because I could have sworn my life flashed right before my eyes.
I did not expect that. Truthfully, you already loosened it up. I thought it was just gonna slowly come out.
All right. Well, let me pour these before we get started.
Oh my! Please,
All right.
please.
Comment down below. Are you a wine drinker, beer drinker, hard liquor drinker? But don't out yourself if you're underage. Like, hey mom, I commented on some random YouTube video. The police are here.
Yeah, no, honestly though, I hope you guys been enjoying the episode so far. It's something new today. We have a special guest, like we mentioned before. I think it's gonna add a little bit more flavor, or like something different than what we've had historically. So
Historically.
I mean, if you guys want to, who else do you want to see on this podcast? I guess that's the question too, right?
What else or who else?
Who else and what else?
Hugh Jackman. I would like to see Hugh Jackman on this podcast.
Alright,
Is that fair? I think that's fair, dude.
Well, I'm Hugh Jackman.
I mean, you got a huge jacket on, man.
Hey, you gotta
Close
get there.
enough, though. Yeah. All
All
right.
right, we're gonna
All right.
clank and start the video.
Start the video, bro.
All right, guys. So we're back today with.
Stop, bro. It's not even funny.
He laughed first, dude.
Shut the hell up, bro. All right, 1, 2,
Okay.
3. All right, guys. So we're back today, and today we're gonna delve a little deeper into the big 3 of TCGs. So we have Pokemon, Magic, and of course, what we hold dearly to our hearts, as we're all Yu-Gi-Oh channels. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So what exactly are we gonna talk about today, Sisu?
So in the last video, we touched upon a lot of topics, but very briefly, right?
Right.
Briefly. And I think anyone who watches our channels, I think they watch for one of 3 things, right? Very competitive content, which Pack does provide in droves, right? Very creative content, which Gage puts a lot of time into, and a lot of brainless content, which we
A specialty over here.
or like a niche within a niche within a niche, no? No, but I think the more fun aspects, side of
Right.
of things. So I think we can, 3 different TCGs, 3 different viewpoints, right? Because
Right.
when you look at a card game, you're like, dude, how do I win?
Yeah.
Right? Like that, right? Like that. That's
Jesus,
you.
man. You think I'm just trying to win all the time?
Yes.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
you ain't
What
wrong.
is fun, dude? What is fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Gage, when you look at a card game, you're like, oh, like how can I get creative with it? Like, what can I do to spice things up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, what is the cheesiest deck I can play, and just and feel good about it.
Right.
Well, I mean, even if Pac just looks at it at the standpoint, like, how do I win?
Yeah.
I think the most joy comes from a card game, in general, is beating your opponent. And that sounds like, but winning is so important to having fun in a game. Because if you're not winning, if you're actively just trying to make a deck that's going to lose, you're not gonna have fun.
Yeah.
What?
Speak for yourself,
Dude,
man.
I'm just saying.
Hey,
though,
you got
like,
H-heated hearted, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Look, okay, but I'm saying outwitting your opponent,
Yeah.
beating them. That's where the most joy in the game comes from.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
is
Right.
because you did that yourself, and that there's no sense of pride like that in anywhere else. Where if you actively make a deck that just goes to lose, if you're going in with the expectation that you're never going to win a game, that's not enjoyable. At least to
Right.
me, at least. Maybe you with your scrubby ass,
Wow.
maybe you have the fun
Got
with
him.
personally tanking and losing ranks.
Yikes.
No, and I actually have a really similar mindset to Gage in the sense that I think it's more than just winning or losing in card games. I think it's about self-reflection. And this sounds really, really absurd because this is cracking up over here. But let me expand a little further on this. I think
Please do.
so. A lot of people when they play the game, they think so much about oh, I won this game, I lost this game, right? But there are so many games where you win undeserved, and there are so many games you lose undeserved.
Yeah, like when you hand rip, that is an undeserved win, right?
No, it's in the sense that there are so many games where I think people don't self-reflect enough. And what I mean by this is that when they finish a game, they're like, oh, I could have done this differently, but it doesn't matter. I still won the game. But they didn't realize that interaction, that thing that they could have done differently would have mattered for a different game. And even though they did win, they didn't get better from that, right? And it's so tough because in a card game where it's really hard to say if you're improving. It's really hard to determine that, right? And the best way to, really do that is to self-reflect, to look at your own replays, your own mistakes, and understand that. And I think some of the most important things you should do is look at your own replays even when you win. Did I win because, I outwitted my opponent, or did I win because I just got lucky?
And that's very important, I think, for looking at games that aren't primarily RNG based. So in a game like Hearthstone or something, we talked a lot about Hearthstone last episode, but Hearthstone specifically is notorious for having a substantial amount of RNG in it, which is random number generation.
Yeah.
So the thing is you could lose games legitimately just not due to your fault. So
Yep.
the thing is, a big deal back in the day was there was a card called Piloted Shredder.
Oh,
four
yes.
mana, four mana, 4/3, incredible card. When it dies, summons a random 2-cost minion.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people would. I always saw clips of this, and it's the saddest thing. Dude. It would always bring me down. People would be like, I swear, if this piloted shredder drops a Doomsayer, Doomsayer's a 2 mana 0/7 at the beginning of the next turn, nuke the board. They're like, if this drops a Doomsayer, I lose the game. That's absurd. And it's like a fraction of a percent of a chance it happens. But when it happens, you feel awful. And when you reflect on that game, if that's the only reason you lost the game, you dwell on it because there's no reason there's no way you could have avoided that.
Yeah.
True.
So, but when it comes to a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, where not as much RNG is involved unless you're doing like Pokemon with like poison and you're trying to coin flip or something like that. When there's no RNG involved and you can actively reflect on games and how you played them through, then I think that's where you learn the most about like what you can adjust for moving forward and everything.
Yeah, you know what? You know, it's funny because like, I mean, I'll be okay. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, there's many ways to improve, right?
Right.
Because like in Yu-Gi-Oh, there are choke points that you need to know.
Yes.
There are combos you need to know, right? There are obviously cards that you need to know because we do play from the entire pool, right?
Yep.
But in terms of Magic per se, Magic like specifically, like other than resource management and decision making, like I mean, there are no like 10-step combos. So, like okay, minimum like if you minimum want to put up like a negator 2, it's like 10-12 steps, right?
Right.
And then like that 3rd, 4th, 5th negate exponentially increases the skill cap. But in Magic, you being more versed in it than Pac and I, like in terms of like comboing off, quote unquote, like to what extent?
There's really no combos in Magic.
Yeah.
The only combo in Magic that I can think of that is actually like legitimately something you just have to learn yourself, something you just have to practice, is a deck like Storm. So Storm is a modern deck which utilizes a mechanic. It's a keyword called Storm. And what Storm does is it will repeat the same card over and over again based off how many cards are in the stack. So if you stack up 20 cards in a basic, it's like kind of like a chain link, but not. That's a different topic.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a chain link. If you stack 20 cards and then hit a Storm card, this deck focuses on a card like Grape Shot. Grape Shot is it deals 1 damage to any target and then storms. So depending on how many cards are in the stack, it'll repeat that card. So if you play, the combo is you're going to keep playing cards that generate mana, keep playing at instant speed, so you can keep building a stack up to 20 cards.
Right.
And then once that Storm counters at 20, you drop a Grape Shot, hit your opponent in the face for 20, you win the game. So there's tons of things like with procedural things too, like at what point do I activate this Mana Morphos, which gives me 2 mana of any color, and you're gonna pick red or blue. Do I need the red or blue? Will I need the red or blue if I draw this specific card off the card? Do I need to, like, how many more cards do I need to hit the Storm counter? Is it possible? There's so many steps to that. That's, like, the only real, I want to say, like, combo deck in the game. Is that's one where you have to legitimately learn everything as, like, you have to practice it. Whereas everything else in Magic, I think it's more like just, like, understanding the progression of the game and, like, what your opponent can interact with on certain turns. Like, if my opponent's playing a red deck, and like their best card is Bolt, okay? 1 mana deal 3 or something like that. Is my cards that I'm gonna actively play around Bolt or something like that.
Right.
So it's not like in Yu-Gi-Oh where my opponent can literally have anything. Like if I'm playing against a red deck, I don't have to worry on turn 2 when they have 2 red mana.
Yeah.
I don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna get countered spelled.
Right.
Because that costs 2 blue.
Right.
It's just not physically possible.
Right.
So the thing is, not having knowledge of like the format, all the decks in the format, all the cards that can be played on each turn is highly beneficial in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Yu-Gi-Oh where they can just have any answer at any time.
Yeah. Like you can have someone just randomly main deck troll. Like they just decide to main deck troll. Some dude's main decking Lancia with Thunder Dragon deck. Good luck with that, sir. Like, you know, some people just main deck random cards and there's no way to account for those like variances, right? But I think the thing that I've noticed a lot in like the Yu-Gi-Oh community, which I think we can all like learn from, is that whenever someone reflects on their plays, I see this a lot, especially like as, you know, people who start streaming, right? Like when you like, let's say you lost a game, you like, you know, look over and play like, dang, I lost because he has Valor, Ash, he had this, this, and this, and I could have done this, this, and this. And people in the chat, Twitch, I'd be like, yo, excuses, yo. They're like, yo, should stop making excuses, bro. You trash, bro. I'm like, this man is literally trying to like figure out what he could have done differently, what sequencing he could have done on his part to, you know, had a different outcome. And instead of like, you know, being more appreciative of his self-reflection to take that initiative to like improve, people are just bashing him. And that's why like in the comments section, I see someone be like, yo, this is the reason why you would never get good at the game, because this is because like you literally you lose and then you move on and you just forget, and then that's why like you're gonna lose to the same thing the next time around. It's like, you know, nothing has changed.
The thing is like a lot of people complain like I don't want to hear your bad beat story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's like in poker and it's like in every
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
But the thing is like when there's like something like where there's actually legitimately like randomness involved, like
Yeah.
poker,
Yeah.
or when there's like actually like Hearthstone. Like when something like that legitimately happens as like it's an unavoidable bad beat, you want to vent about it. But when it's for Yu-Gi-Oh and everything, you get hand trapped like 3 times. Sure, that's lucky on their part, but maybe they could have just side decked better than you.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have did something better.
Right. Yeah.
There, of course, there's a level of luck to it, but when it comes down to it, it's not fully based off of luck. It's
Yeah.
based on your deck building and everything too.
Yeah.
So there's always like answers that you could have did better. What do you don't? Seem
I
to think,
disagree,
like,
bro.
lay it on me.
I've had moments where I would side all 15 cards, see 0.
Yeah, but that's just variance, though.
Yeah,
right?
that's just very.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it. Okay, so
But you are pretty unlucky, bro. I've seen you draw like double Messenger driver.
That's like not like legitimate. That is unlucky,
Yeah.
but that's like something like. It just sucks.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the thing
oh,
is,
yeah.
it's not like legitimate, just randomness.
No,
Like
I-
it's not like I'm playing poker, okay, and I have a flush, all right.
Right, yeah.
And then the next card comes, the river comes, and my opponent just it pairs the board and they got the full house.
Mm-hmm.
Like that fucking sucks. Like, and it's like I have ace high flush, but it's like the thing is like, do you account for the fact that they could have hit the full house, or do you just like accept the fact that I had the best hand for everything except the river, and they got lucky and hit the 1 out of like 2 cards left in the deck to make that hand.
Right. I mean, okay, but again, like this is like strictly speaking, this is an issue strictly for Yu-Gi-Oh, because like no other card game suffers from that, right? Because like again, we're not Yu-Gi-Oh itself. When I say we, like we Yu-Gi-Oh players, we're not limited to mana, and we're not restricted towards having available resources. Our resources, just strictly speaking, are our cards in hand and our life points, right? Because like we use life points as resources, right?
Well, your graveyard could be a resource too.
Well, that too. Well, okay, yeah. So graveyard and banish power if you're playing the correct deck. But yeah, no other card game really suffers from that. So I think Yu-Gi-Oh is it truly is a special card game for me because you have 5 cards in hand. Those are your options. You know what I mean? Like you're not thinking ahead. You're not like I mean obviously there are like mid combo cards that allow you to draw.
Yeah.
But basically you're like, okay, I'm getting there with the cards I have in hand, right?
Yeah.
But now that like Pac and I we've been playing Pokemon like a lot, like
Yeah.
Pac made a very utility deck.
Yep.
And I just went with the best deck because I'm a meta sheep, you know what I'm saying? Apparently. But I mean even then like sometimes in Pokemon and Magic you can mulligan.
Yeah.
That's huge, by the way. And we'll touch upon that after this, but in terms of like strictly speaking in Pokemon, like you inherently break, but then you have so many draw cards in the deck, right? Like you like discard no cards and draw 7. Like if that was a Yu-Gi-Oh card and let's say it was common, it would literally be $1,000.
The thing is a lot of people actually discussed at a certain point too. A lot of people were saying like, what if Card of Sanctity anime version was actually just a legal card? Like, would the game completely change? Because everybody at that point, think about it, you're drawing 6 cards, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody at every point in the game has access to almost every card in their deck.
Yeah.
So deck building matters more and everything. Cards like, I mentioned, like, I think some people said, like, Swift Scarecrow would be insane because, okay, you have all these resources, but imagine the one person texts Swift Scarecrow. So the thing is, you put all these things on the board and I'm just like, okay, easy OTK, right? Swift Scarecrow. All right, now I get my turn to play. I have all my resources. That was a good deck building decision on my part. And that's because we have access to all the resources in the game just through this one card. So that was an interesting kind of debate that people had for a while. Is like Card of Sanctity. I don't know who brought it up originally, but somebody was like, "What if Card of Sanctity anime was just like an actual card?" And I was like, a lot of people were like, "That's whack, bro. That's insane." And I was
That's
like,
an
you know
FTK
what?
coming,
That's
bro.
actually kind of like interesting, dude. Like, it is like inherently imbalanced too because you have to think of the fact like the first turn player can dump their hand and then Card of Sanctity.
That's what I'm saying.
But like the thing is, that's just a thing on Yu-Gi-Oh on its own. But like, I'm just thinking like if there was a card like both players draw 5 cards, okay, both players just that's it. Both players draw 5 cards, no hand limit, whatever.
Wow.
Like, how much would that change the game? It'd be crazy.
It'd be
It would be
insanity,
crazy.
bro.
Yeah, it would be
nuts.
so crazy. I mean,
But the
like,
thing is, would it be broken though? Like, what? I draw 5 cards in my deck. That could be 5 more hand traps. And you draw 5 cards. Okay, you could draw more combo extenders or whatever. Like,
yeah,
what does that warrant?
I don't think there's enough extenders to warrant every hand trap.
Correct.
And that's something that I've noticed as I started playing more combo decks is that like you can have more extenders, but there's gonna be a certain limit to which each of your if you know in a perfect world where you understand every choke point of a combo's like player's deck, you realize that you only need specific hand traps at certain points. And when you do understand that, you realize you don't need like 30 hand traps in hand.
Only 16, bro.
You only need
only 16.
You only need specific 2 like at certain points. And if they have like a crazy sacky card like Monster Reborn or like a triple tax, and yeah, it sucks, but you know, I mean, what can you do against a point? There's no way to play around triple tax. I actually had a conversation with a friend like Chatix is, I think, the most broken card in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time because there's no way to outplay it.
True.
You activate a monster effect,
Period.
you're getting punished.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna, instead of ashing first, I'm gonna gamma you first, and then I guess ash can be live for the draw too. But most of the time when people use tactics, I'm looking at your hand, ripping the ash out of your hand. So tactics is either gonna, when I try to use draw 2, you're gonna ash it, or when I look at your hand, you're gonna lose the ash anyway. So there's just no counterplay. And I think it's so interesting that when Yu-Gi-Oh! Introduces cards with no counterplay, I think that's when, like, that's what truly makes it broken, because most of the time you're able to outwit your opponent, you're able to outplay your opponent, right? Like, you know, when you play like outlet cards, right? Like, there's outplay involved. But tactics is just like, I mean, I guess the only outplay you can have is activate all your effects in standby phase or battle phase.
Yeah.
That's why I hate a card like Super Poly, dude.
Yeah,
I think any
Super Poly
spell
was
speed
crazy.
for a card, no matter the effect, I just don't think that should exist.
Yeah.
Like, your opponent can't respond. That inherently goes against like everything the game is like designed to do.
Yeah.
Like one of the unique things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Compared to like Pokemon, there's interaction on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Compared to Magic, like there's interaction on your opponent's turn. Whereas if Magic, if I'm tapped out, I'm not having any interaction.
Correct.
But in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's always an opportunity for interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when a card's introduced that says, okay, nope, can't do that. Like, I think that's just the dumbest thing in the world. I
Yeah.
think that just shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, like, we have custom cards like Dragoons. Right? I mean, okay, listen, look. I mean, it's all about having like it's about like the worser of the two, right? Like, we have Mystic Mine,
Right?
which a lot of people are saying it's like the way to punish combo. Like, especially like decks like Dragon Link hard lose to Mystic Mine.
Yeah. Hard loses,
If they don't, build for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the problem. Like, Super Poly, in my opinion, we need it, right? No.
Hard disagree.
Well, what about you?
I mean, I just don't like cards that say you can't respond. If Mystic Mind says activate this card, your opponent cannot attack, or then your opponent cannot respond to it. That's just crazy.
The thing is with Mystic Mine is it is
It's not-
manageable.
yeah.
You can do something about it. Sure, there's some decks that don't build properly for it,
Yeah.
but that's on the deck's fault.
Yeah.
If you tech one copy of Cosmic Cyclone and your opponent doesn't have like Judgment, you have an option to be able to deal with it. Super Poly, there is no option to deal with. There's none. Unless you go like, okay, Secret Village turn
Yeah,
one.
but how are you playing past 7 negates with 3 cards in hand because he ripped 2?
Oh,
Like,
that's
how?
I mean,
how are you doing
building,
that?
I guess, correctly with hand traps. It's a hard
How?
decision, but
Yeah.
I think like hand traps, at least they're different in the sense like it's just like I think the option of having like the ability to not respond to something, just saying like a card that says like, okay, your opponent can't interact with you.
like it
That
basically
goes
makes
against
it.
the fundamentals.
I feel like it makes it more solitaire in that essence, does it not? Like if I just like, I mean, to be fair, if you don't draw a hand trap, it is solitaire. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. You basically lost the game, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's to be fair though, like in Pokemon, that game is solitaire.
It is.
Like
it is.
it's I'm literally drawing 20 to 30 cards depending on what's in my hand with the Dedenne, with research,
Welder.
like Welder. Like I'm drawing like legit 15, 16 cards, and you don't have Ash. You're not gonna Ash my Welder. You're not gonna Ash my
I
research.
could just look at you dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
like-
there's a mother.
like you know, this guy's tapping, like putting in energy, like he's activating all these like items cards, searching every Pokemon he needs, X, Y, and Z, and like you frankly just can't do anything. Like I've watched people play Pokemon. They literally get up, get a drink, come back, and like, oh, you're not done yet. Okay, cool.
That's how I feel when you're comboing off.
I mean, hey, man, 2 hand traps ain't
It's
enough.
just like, and even on like the spell speed 4 thing, back to it. Like
Yeah.
there's actually a clip of me. Like I was playing Striker against this
Yeah,
guy, okay?
yeah.
And I built up a board. This guy legitimately broke it every way, and he ended on Predaplant Goons, okay? I had one card in my hand, it wasn't gonna matter. But I said, quote, if I top deck Super Poly, I just win the game.
Yeah.
Draw for turn. Super
Super
Poly.
Poly.
I'm like, holy shit. Undeserved win. I'm like, he
What?
has
You deserve that
I
win.
absolutely not.
Yes,
There's
you
no
did.
way I
You
warranted that
believed
win.
in the heart of the cards.
Whatever,
That is the
Yami
premise of
Yugi
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Man,
would have
man.
been
Oh my
smiling
God.
at me, but I was frowning on the inside, dude. I was like, that's so sad for the guy, because he legitimately worked hard to out my striker board, and he deserved the win after ending on Goon. And I was like, you know
You're
what?
too nice, bro. You're
I
too
don't know,
nice.
man. I just feel like spell speed 4. It shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
XYZ Encore was a sick card back in the day too, because it's
Yeah.
spell speed 4 and it could out. What could it out back in the day? Were you playing back then?
No, I didn't, but I remembered it out like what's that card? Rongo? It outed
Yeah,
Rongo.
Rongo Maniac. That's another thing it does too.
Yeah, it outed Rongo. It outed VFD.
Wait, that was VFD?
No. There's also VFD and there's also Rongo. Like cards that literally says you can't play. So basically, it removed all the materials. So when you draw, let's say you draw for turn.
But you're assuming you're going first.
No. They set up VFD and they pass turn. You draw for turn, use player priority, activate Encore, rip all the materials out of VFD so they can't even respond to it.
Wait, do you have any copies? Can I have? Do you have
That card's like cheap, dude. It's
Yeah,
like $1.
the
You
card's
can
like
probably find
$1,
it anywhere,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
But like that card's sick, dude. Like any spell speed 4 card
Yeah.
you read, it's like this card's like insane. Like it's actually just great.
But listen, I mean, at the end of the day, listen, you believe in the heart of the cards. I remember, I had one card left in deck. I was playing my Grand Magi deck, and the Grand Magi deck, best deck, it banishes a lot, right? I said in chat, we were also streaming. I was like, yo, this last card, if it's a Necro Face, I win the game, bro.
Yo.
Last card, I banished like literally 45 cards, right?
Yep.
It was Necro Face.
My
But see,
goodness.
and then that's
And then
the
I
type-
lost because he had imprint. But
Yeah, see, okay, but that's the thing. Like, you can respond to Necroface. Like, you can't
Yeah,
respond
true,
to like
true.
Super Poly. It goes back to that again. Like, but opponent interaction is
Yeah.
such a key part of Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's the thing that should be like, emphasized. And the fact that there's cards that
Yeah.
says like that just doesn't exist is dumb.
Yeah, Pack.
What do you mean, bro? What do you mean? What do you mean, bro?
How do you? Cause like there's no cards. You know what I was searching for like 2 days straight. Are there any cards that say that your opponent can't look at your hand?
No, so
And
there's
it doesn't exist.
There's way to place around. There's a card called Necro Cat. So I
Necro Cat, not Necro Face, Necro
no,
Cat.
I looked into it. Basically, it says if this card is sent from your hand to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, end their turn.
Oh, that's not Necro. That's Nico Minking.
Necro Manking. Yeah, that
Okay,
that
but
one.
you're assuming that what? That does nothing for me.
Yes, it does, because if I went, it punishes me when I use Dolphin Effect. Because if I use Dolphin Effect,
Oh, rip the lowest monster.
Yeah,
it
you're
rips.
required to rip, too.
I'm mandatory to rip a card, right? But if you only have a Necromania whatever in your hand and nothing else, smaller than 800, then I have to rip it. It's mandatory after I use it.
That card's actually interesting, dude. Nico
Yeah.
Minking is cool. That was used back in wind-up format too.
Yep.
When people would hand loop you for 5. So if they accidentally loop your Nico Minking, it ends their turn and you get to play.
Yeah.
So like that card's actually sick, dude. That card's neat.
That's better than Token Collector.
I mean, I played through Token Collector, Phantasma, and Nibiru. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, okay, weird flags.
All right, fuck this topic. So next topic on mulliganing. I feel like that's super important.
Yeah, let's
Yep.
talk about that.
Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't mulligan. What implications would there be if you could?
If there was mulliganing in the game, then I think cards that would be able to interact like Called by the Grave, if that card wasn't at 1, I think things like what is it? There's a card like Forbidden Dress, okay?
Yeah.
Forbidden Dress kind of has a similar effect where like you target a card, or what's the Saraphis? Is that the
Sarjuvis.
No,
that
Sarjuvis.
card
Saravis.
would actually probably be mandatory. I shit you not. Because the thing is, you give players both options and mandatory. Like,
Yep.
if I know I'm going second,
Yeah.
I'm going to mulligan my hand so I have the most amount of hand traps. Okay?
Yeah.
And if I'm going first, I'm going to mulligan so I have the best
Like
going
call
first
by
combo hand,
tactics,
and I
yeah.
have all the answers to those hand traps.
Okay, all right, let me rephrase. You're limited to one mulligan.
Still, I think that would be
Really?
that
I
would be
think
the
mulligan is too much. I think if you mulligan, it literally makes it so that let's say like you put in 15 hand traps in a 40 card deck. That's a 93% chance to see one, right? If you have the option to mulligan, if you miss that 93% on the first roll and you can draw another hand, that's 93% times 93%. Dude, the odds of that is so freaking high that it just makes it so that like you have to account for like basically like multiplication in like your like mathematics now. It's just too much math, man. It's just too much.
It just gives you the option to be able to dig for those answers that you know are going to end your
Yeah.
opponent's turn. And so the thing is, the person that's on the play, the person that actively chooses to go first, they're going to dig for those ways to play through those cards because they know you're going to get the other 90% chance to be able to get them. So could you imagine if a card like Max C was still legal? The thing is like I would have to find a way to answer Max C 100% of
Yeah.
the time.
Everyone
'Cause
main decks Ash.
if you have a mulligan, you're probably going to 100% of the time just mulligan until you get Max C because it's the best card in the game. So the thing is, if you're always going to have Max C, I need to have an answer to Max C. Otherwise, I'm just not going to be able to play.
Yeah.
So I think mulliganing, the only card game that I think does it really, really well is I think Magic does mulliganing extremely well, especially with the change recently. So with the change recently in Magic the Gathering, they released what's called the London Mulligan. And what it is you draw your 7 cards, okay? You look at your 7 and you say, okay, I don't like this. I'm going to put this hand back. You put the whole hand back, you draw a clean new 7, and then you put 1 to the bottom of the deck. And you can do that as many times as you want. So if I go down to, if I say that 6 that I draw, or that 7 that I draw the second time isn't good, throw those 7 back, draw a new 7, and then I get to pick 2 in bottom it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
I
the
think,
important part is you get to draw 7 every single time, so you have a very high chance of seeing what you need. Then you can put back what you don't need anyways, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's really, really important, because if you were to like do the other mulligan system where you draw 7, then if you mulligan, you have to draw 6, it means that you have a lower chance, like you might actually brick more. And so it's nice that you're able to draw 7 again and put back. And that's what I really liked about it, because I was like, the fact that I get to draw 7 and put back a trash card in my hand anyways, that's really good later in the late game, I can just put that away.
I also really like Hearthstone's mulligan system too. That's called the French mulligan.
How does
Yes.
that work?
So
Oh,
you
it's
draw
amazing,
you draw your 3, okay? And then you get to pick the ones you don't want. They go back, you draw the same 3. That's your
Yes,
1 mulligan.
That's the
But
mulligan.
still, that's I think that's
Oh,
a really
it's a hand
sick way
fixture.
to
That's
play
a
it, too.
Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's literally a
That
Yu-Gi-Oh
is
card.
actually,
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool way to mulligan. If that was implemented in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it would even exacerbate the problem we're talking about, where
Yeah.
it's like you need to be able to applicate your fact that your opponent's going to be able to see those best cards in the game.
No, that
almost
makes it
100%
so
of the time.
bad. Like, if you imagine you open up 2 hand traps, you mulligan the other 3 for like 2 more hand traps and a starter.
Yeah, that's broken.
In Modolches.
My goodness.
Yeah,
No,
you just find your
The
find your petting
Angeli,
sword.
Angeli forehand.
It's
It
just
literally-
nuts, dude.
It literally makes any deck that can play D-Shifter the best deck, I think.
Thank you.
But yeah, that,
D-Shifter best hand.
but
trap
that's
in the
why
game.
that's why mulligan is on a system in Yu-Gi-Oh. You know what I'm saying?
And actually, it's funny because in Pokemon, there's a whole different mulligan system, right? So it's a mandatory mulligan, right? In Pokemon, if you don't draw a basic Pokemon,
Yeah, you
it's
have
a
to.
mandatory mulligan, right? And then your opponent just draws to the number of times you mulliganed. So in that system, right, your opponent essentially starts with an advantage, right?
Yeah.
Because in Magic, you're capped to 7 no matter what, how many times you mulligan.
Yeah.
But technically, if you mulligan, your opponent technically does have card advantage, but you still have technically the better hand because you can choose to put back
Yeah.
cards that you don't need. But in Pokemon, like draw power is insane because like in Pokemon, there's no cards that like interact, right?
Yeah.
So like your entire turn is how far into your deck can you dig, right? No, because that's
Yeah, that's what it is.
like you set up and then you're like, can you set up faster than me, right?
Yeah.
And then if your opponent has welder, he most definitely will set up
Hey,
faster
hey,
than
you already
right?
know what happened to you, baby.
God damn, bro.
And the thing is, I think the Pokemon's mulligan system it's a failsafe. Like if you don't open a
True.
basic, you
Yeah.
have to mulligan. That's fair, I think. There was actually a deck, and I told you about this yesterday too. I don't remember all the intricacies with it,
Yeah.
but there was a deck that like utilized Mewtwo or something way back in the day, and that was like the only basic it would play. So the thing was, it would keep forcibly mulliganing its deck until it just draws the one Mewtwo. So it would either give your opponent like a whole bunch of cards, and then like I think the whole thing was deck out or something like that, something
Yeah.
silly. But that was the only way to abuse that mechanic. So the thing is, the fact that it gives your opponent's cards is not abusable, and the fact that it's mandatory, I think, is only a failsafe. So it's the fact that okay, your deck building, it's not completely relying on your deck building, but
Yep.
maybe you just got extremely unlucky. You didn't draw your basic. All right, shuffle it back. You get a new 7. Your opponent gets a
But
card.
when I think about the mulligan system in Pokemon, right? Like when your opponent gets an extra card off of it, like I'll be honest, I don't think that extra card matters.
Oh, no.
And the reason
I don't think so either,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the main reason being that like, you know, like having extra Pokemons in your bench relatively doesn't really matter. It does to a certain extent depending on the deck you play, but then also you're limited to one supporter. If you draw an extra card off of your opponent's mulligan, that means it makes your research professor research a little weaker because now you have to like discard your entire
More
hand.
hand and more
It makes
cards,
your
yeah.
Dedenne a little weaker. It also makes your Crobat V a little weaker because you can draw up to 6, right? So like for you to dump your whole hand to make the most out of a Crobat V, for example, to draw up to 6,
True.
it makes it a little weaker. So like I think that like the mulligan system doesn't really give you more advantage. It's just kind of like what Gage was saying. It's a failsafe. It makes it so both players have a chance to like play.
And I think it's like the reason the mulligan system, I think it would be more broken if card advantage mattered more in Pokemon. I just don't think card advantage really matters that much in Pokemon because you got to think like there's cards that are like draw 7. Discard
Yeah.
your hand, you could draw 0, draw 7. So if you're giving your opponent a +1 off of a failed
Yeah.
draw 7 and a forced mulligan,
Yep.
it's like the thing is like I have a card that goes +6.
Right.
So what's a +1 when I can go +20
Yeah.
in a turn?
And speaking on like mulligan systems, I think in Magic actually, I feel like whenever your opponent puts one card back, that's actually very detrimental. Like, and the reason why I say this is because like playing with like a lot of cards in your hand, like actually helps so much in Magic. At least when I noticed, is because like you want to have generally like 2 lands to like start your basic hand, and then like if you have 3, that's like kind of like okay, depending whether the rest of your curve is really good or not. But when you have 6, right, you're basically like down 1 card, and your opponent, assuming you're going first, your opponent is gonna have 8 cards to your 6, and you're gonna have to put 1 land down, right? So you have 5 cards in hand. Your opponent's gonna put a land down, and then you're basically like, unless you have cards that like can draw you into more things, like it's just generally like you feel at a disadvantage, but it's still possible to win. Like, you know, like I play Susu, Mulligan in my hand, and you know we gave him the little spanking, but that's the thing. Like I think you sometimes have to like take those risks, like which I think Magic really rewards you for, because I looked at my hand, I'm like, yo, this hand is playable, but it's not optimal.
Optimal, right?
And shout out to Gage, optimal brand. But it wasn't optimal, so I'm like, I have to take that -1, draw 7, because I want to increase my chances of winning. I know his deck is really fast, very aggressive. It gets rid of my cards really fast because it's just playing black and red. So I was like, yo, I gotta like put a lot of pressure up. And if I look at my hand, I have a very good mid game curve, but my early game curve is not good enough to put pressure up. And I need to like really like dig into my deck. I'm like, I'll take the -1, and I'm like, and that helped. Like that idea of like that forward thinking helped me, because it got me to a better hand to like put a lot of pressure early, start ramping up my energy early, so I just pressure him with a lot of like damage.
I like this guy. He still calls it energy. He's still trying to learn the lingo.
Yeah,
what did he call it? He said yesterday was the funniest thing. He said, I activate a land. Yeah. I was almost crying.
I was like,
me
and Gage were like, wait, what? What do you, wait, what?
Oh, yo, when I'll be activating instance from my hand, be like, yo, effect? Response?
Yo, response?
Respond?
Yo, on resolution?
Yo, that'd be so funny. They'd be like, yo, the sack site called chain links, bro.
Yeah, and actually, like, another thing about that, which is really cool between the TCGs, like, I mean, every card game will have similar interactions, right? Like, just in its most simplest form, right? But then, you know, they call it something different, which is funny, right? Like, you know, you activate a spell card, right? When you go to play a sorcery, what do you say?
When I go to play a sorcery?
Yeah, like a sorcery card in Magic.
Cast.
Like you cast, right? Yo, if you said that, if you were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, like, I cast triple tactic talents. Yo, your opponent would be like,
your opponent would roast you so hard.
like,
Alright, guys. No. I mean, it's so weird because I think there's a lot of lingo surrounding each game for sure.
For sure.
And I think that's what makes each game unique in their own way. But for me personally, like, because I started my TCG journey technically, unless with real cards with Yu-Gi-Oh, like I would be saying I have my deck in the top right of my playmat.
I
whenever
do too, yeah.
And like I have my field like graveyard fanned. Like, right underneath, and that goes for any game I play. Like, if I'm playing Pokemon, I do the same thing.
Yeah, the thing is, I actually told you yesterday, too.
Yeah.
I went to a Pokemon regional one time to play. I vlogged that experience and everything, and it was fun and everything. I learned the basics the night before. I had my friend Owen, he taught me everything.
Yeah.
And I did that. The first round I played, I had my deck up there, and my opponent was like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's not a big deal, whatever. A judge comes over and legitimately says, you cannot have your deck like that.
Oh.
Please move it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Really?
what's the deal? I was like, is there a big deal with this or anything? And he's like, you just can't have it like that. Something with, like, you could look at the card or what. It was BS, whatever he said. I didn't believe it. But the thing is, they were adamant. They said, you cannot have your deck like that. Please move it. And I was like, that blew my mind. I was like,
That's actually insane.
yeah, we were so liberal with it in Yu-Gi-Oh and everything. But it's like when it comes to other card games, like I guess specifically like Pokemon,
That is true.
They don't allow it.
Yeah, because in Yu-Gi-Oh we are very liberal, like you said. Like, because if you look at like the playmat they give to you at like when you buy a structure deck, like God knows I don't follow that format, bro. My extra deck is the top left.
And even for like YCSs and stuff, they don't give you mats with zones anymore, right?
They don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
It's just because it's like, I guess it could be one of two things. It's because the game constantly changes. Like you got to think if they release mats with like pendulum zones when they used to have their own zones, that mat would be obsolete. So maybe they're trying to accommodate for that, or maybe they're just accepting of the fact that players play differently.
Yeah.
Because imagine if you're left-handed too. Like, what are you going to do if you're left-handed and you're playing Pokemon
Wow,
and you need to have your deck on the right side?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of whack. Like, the judge comes over, you said you got to have it on your right side. Like, what?
You're drawing like this.
Yeah, like, that's kind of insane, dude. Like,
I top deck Dark Magician.
Oh my god. I mean, that's when like left hand and right hand would be really just comical cards.
Yeah.
But then they have comic hand too, which is.
Is comic hand the right hand or the left hand?
It's the left hand actually. It's the left hand coming out.
Are you sure about that?
I'm so
Comic-Con?
positive,
Like
dude.
the same one in like Toon cards?
Yeah, the
Oh.
Toon card. I 100% it's a left hand. If it's not, I'll give away an extra booster box.
Okay,
My
bet. All right,
goodness.
that's your guys' homework.
Hold
Look
on.
it up.
So one of you guys keep talking. I'm googling right now.
All right. No, yeah, but so I think that, you know, it's so interesting because as we play other games, a lot of our influences from Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like spills over.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I find so funny and so fascinating. I think that's why.
Is it the right hand?
It's the
You
right
Wait,
hand.
can I just get confirmation? I'm sorry. Is that?
I can't even fucking tell, dude. I honestly can't tell.
So
Can you tell?
If your thumb is out this way,
God damn.
I think it's the right hand. It's the right
I'm
hand. It's the
sick.
right
it's the
hand.
right hand. it's the
Chat,
right hand.
Susu was wrong. Enjoy that a free
Alright,
booster
so
box.
we're giving out,
I'm
we're giving
sick,
out a
boy.
free booster box,
yep.
guys.
But
Shake
what was
my
I
head.
talking about the other day too? That brings up like other things
Yep.
that we pulled from Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, actually, just like 2 days ago, I was talking with my friend. We were talking about the way like Magic players and Yu-Gi-Oh players draw their hand, and the way like they hold their hand too.
Yeah.
So when we hand shuffle different than like Magic players do.
We
apparently.
do. We
Yeah.
do.
How do,
So
how,
the thing was, is,
how do
like-
Magic players shuffle?
Magic players, they granny grip their cards, okay? So they hold them like this, all right? And sometimes
My
they'll like pick it differently.
goodness.
Yu-Gi-Oh players just do it weird. And also like when drawing cards too, apparently like I do it strange from everybody. Like the majority of Yu-Gi-Oh play, how do you draw your cards? You're drawing a card from your deck.
I'm drawing. I go draw, and I slide it down on the playmat and
Why?
then put it up to my hand.
Why
That's
do you
that's apparently a big Magic the Gathering thing. is
Really?
Players
I do that
They
because I'm
draw
not
and
I'm
they
not trying to let
slide.
them see my hand when I put it up. And I'm like, shh, ooh, yeah.
What do you do when you draw?
Me?
Yeah.
I draw. I show my opponent the winning card. no. I know. I slide it too, but then like I ask myself like, why am I
That's
doing this?
you
feels
never really
nice.
think about it though. You never really think about it, but I guess that's a big Magic thing too. Is they slide their card as well. And they
Yeah, I
put it
just
in
never
their
understood
hand.
Well, I
that.
like it because when you like, it's the motion, right? So like when you draw a card, I just love the fact that it rolls in that beautiful nice cloth mat. A cloth mat coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the
And it-
cloths, baby. Oh my.
Plug.
Yo, I'll smooth that. But now when you like draw your hand, you roll it under the table. You're like, ooh, that feels nice. You put up your hand like, hey, I just drew like triple tactic talent. Let's go. And it just feels nice, man. Like there's also like anticipation, because like when like it comes down to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, like a lot relies on your top deck, right? Like
It
whether,
does,
whether or
bro.
not you top deck Dark Ruler for turn is literally a determinant of whether or not you win that game, right? Like there's so many crazy top decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, and so like you're kind of like, oh my god, and when you finally see, you're like, I lost. So it's-
another thing that pulls from like the things that we get from Yu-Gi-Oh. How do you shuffle your deck? Because I'm about to talk about something that gets me real heated. So how do you shuffle
Oh.
your
I mean,
deck? when
I
you
have a
shuffle?
ritual. It's triple riffle,
Yeah.
anime shuffle, single riffle
What's
cut.
the anime shuffle?
like the
Oh, like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I do that
yeah.
too.
So it's triple riffle, anime shuffle, single riffle cut. That's my
Ah.
Okay,
ritual.
and then
Yeah.
what's your ritual?
I go like 1, 2, 3, shuffle, and then cut into thirds, and then put it back on top, and then give it to my
That's
opponent.
wild. I riffle it. I just riffle it till I'm ready.
Yeah.
But like the thing is that makes me mad is it is a Pokemon standard that
Yeah.
people do it. They
Bridge
bridge shuffle.
yeah.
That's all they do. So many people, and it
sick.
makes me
I mean,
so sick.
They
bro.
probably six sleeve their decks, bro. Because
They
crazy.
have no respect too. You give them your deck to cup,
They'll bridge that
rip,
shit.
they'll
Yeah,
bridge
they'll
it. No
bridge that
lie,
shit.
they'll bridge it, and I'm like, oh my god, do not do that, dude.
Yeah.
But they don't care because that's just like the standard in it. They'll
Yeah,
bridge.
it's just weird.
It blows my mind, dude. But I don't know how people do that and they feel
yeah,
okay.
I'm
about
like,
it.
hey, yo, these ain't poker cards from like your Walgreens, bro.
Yeah,
I
that's
what I'm
paid-
saying,
I just paid $100 for a freaking Mewtwo Walter. You know
Wait,
what I'm
you did?
saying? Oh wait, what?
Wait,
Nah, it's just dummy expensive, bro. Like you can't do that. Like imagine someone bridge shuffles your deck.
And you're like doing a steal the only challenge, but ultimate rare edition.
Yeah.
And someone bridge shuffles, yo, someone's dying. that
Yeah,
day.
bro. It's like
Someone
my
is dying
goodness.
that day.
Dude, I don't even think it's like, maybe it's they do it like just subconsciously they do it, but I think it's
Yeah.
just like a really disrespectful thing to do.
I think so,
To like
too.
not even like ask your opponent like, is it okay if I bridge shuffle this?
Yeah.
You know, if you ask me, I'm gonna say absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
No, just don't do that, bro.
Yeah.
But like the thing is like they do it, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't
no
care.
one, no one cares about your cards more than you do. And we put out a funny skit video of when players damage your cards.
Oh yeah.
Bro, like I've literally had players like at the regionals I
Yeah.
went to, they would tap my cards and they don't groom themselves, bro. Their fingernails looking like a Cruella de Vil, bro.
Oh, bro,
and
dude.
they're like, yo, like you can see in real time your cards being dented by fingernail marks. I literally looked at the dude. I'm like, bro, you tap my card one more time, I will throw you.
It's gross, dude.
Yeah.
Some people just don't trim their nails. It's nasty.
Yeah,
That's
it's
another
crazy.
topic. But like another thing is like in Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess a guy from Pokemon decided to come by to locals one day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Noah, my friend Noah. This guy plays with baller cards. I'm talking all Starlights in his deck.
Whoa.
First Dead Alties.
You have a pack?
He's got the baller levels, okay? This one guy came from Pokemon. He came to play Yu-Gi-Oh locals one day. Took his deck, bridge shuffle.
Oh.
And Noah nearly wanted to punch the guy right in the Adam's apple. He said, "That's not okay, dude. Do not do that again." Guy did it 3 more times. Because I guess he just forgot about it. But the thing is, I just think that's so disrespectful as a player to not like appreciate
Yikes.
somebody else's deck like that.
That's a yikes,
So
mate.
you got to think like how many thousands of dollars is in that deck too.
Yeah.
Like Noah will always remember that, dude. He tells me about it all the time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I can't. I'd be sick, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I play against Pac, like this is Noah right here, right?
Nah,
Bro,
don't.
when I pick up his cards, I two-hand it. Like I dig into the table to get underneath the card, so I don't even touch the card. I lift it. I'm like, and then I put it down. You know what I'm saying?
You're like, I'm just gonna tap. Yeah, I don't want to tell you. Like, that's all right, dude. I don't want to touch
I
it.
mean, that's definitely like the downside of like playing expensive cards that I've
Yeah.
noticed. But I don't know, man. I kind of just like, yo, just cut in half, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just give me the God hand. Like, Jesus, yo.
Anyways, guys, I know Pac will always flex and stay flexing, but it's about that time. Again.
Oh,
Oh, is it
my
about
goodness.
that time already?
It is
dude?
way
Wow.
past the time. Actually.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my
we've been going on for a bit for sure. I mean, hope you guys all enjoy like the chatting chat
Yeah.
between us
Yeah.
3. But I think it was really good. If you want more content like this, subscribe, like, comment. Yeah, let us know in the comment section below your favorite part of this. And like I said, Susu and I will pick a winner live if this community gets over 1,000 likes on both of our channels. So let us know. And also let us know what it's like having another person on the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys like this dynamic? Like, yeah.
Let me just say, guys, thank you for having me on
Oh
today,
my
dude. It was a
gosh.
blast. Like you just said, it's about that time, dude. It felt like
Yeah, we could have kept
dude,
going
I
for
could've
sure.
just
Yeah,
talking, dude.
legit.
I just love to
legit
talk,
felt like
so-
10
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you guys for having me on here.
Yo,
dude. I had a blast,
anytime, man. Glad to have you on. So thanks for
Seriously.
coming.
Yeah. So, guys, as always, if you guys are not subscribed to any one of our channels, please go do that. It really helps us support Late Night TCG. We want to the dream is to turn this into like a Late Night with Jimmy Fallon type of deal.
Right.
With Pac and Susu as your host. So if you guys
Yeah.
want to see that, make sure to support us in any way, shape, or form that you can. All right, guys. So, as you know, this is a weekly segment, so we will see you next week. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles.
It's Pac.
And Nhymnim from Nhymnim.
Signing out.